NCRP Productions presents Unhallowed Metropolis, Secrets in the Sands, Episode 49. Hello and welcome back to Unhallowed Metropolis, Secrets in the Sands. It's been a while. In real life, I think it's been 5 weeks since we've been able to get together. COVID and hospitalizations and the like. But hopefully everyone remembers their character and what you're doing. So we're going to go around the room, and once we're done, we'll get started.
Hi there, I'm Jill, and I'm playing Raya, the Mourner. And part of that was my fault. I went to the emergency room, and they cut the gallbladder out of me.
Hi, this is Matt. I play Aiden, and he has many talents.
Hello, I'm Michael. I play Dr. Everett Wolfe, the doctor specializing in alchemy and chemistry, and currently evolving into the largest piece of beef jerky you've ever seen.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ty. I'm running Ray Callahan, and I am also here.
Hi, it's Sequoia, and I'm running Frankie the Undertaker.
Hey, everybody, it's Pedro, and I am running Dr. Desmond Wright, the chained and unconscious.
Well, not chained. Presently, if I remember correctly, you are trussed up, hands to feet, but with a piece of cord.
Pardon me for using a phrase.
You brought that upon yourself.
No, I didn't ask to be chained. Or, excuse me, I didn't ask to be bound.
So if you missed last episode, what happened was...
Go back and listen to it, or
right.
Spoilers.
You really do need to listen to it, because otherwise you're listening to the spoilers.
Find the link down below.
Yeah.
All right. So last time we were at the end of fixing up Dr. Wolfe and dealing with the burns from his most recent attempt to get something back evolved. There have been so many twists for this, but the last one took all of his hair off his body. He is burned from head to toe pretty severely. The only part that we've seen that does not have some level of damage, anywhere from skin damage to actual open bloody sores, are his eyelids, which for whatever reason seem to be untouched or unharmed. But he was in a separate tent. Everyone was ministering to him. And where do I go? I guess I just go with Dr. Wright. Dr. Wright had realized that something had been struck into the neck of Dr. Wolfe. Dr. Wright had been very definite on the fact that he did not want anyone interfering. He believed that the evolution of the current situation for Dr. Wolfe was going to be required for him to come through it on his own. So making the decision, he found a small needle, believed that it had to be Mei Ling that did it, and so he walked in. Now, he did give the explanation that it wasn't simply that she had also been trying to break into his mind and potentially other things. He walked into the tent, pulled out his gun, shot her in the eye, killing her dead. Odd things that come out from this afterwards.
That's strange.
Billings seems to be having all kinds of, for the group, weird and uncomfortable reactions to it, ending in talking with Frankie and Billings making the decision that wouldn't it be the right and just thing, let's ignore the right, wouldn't it be the just thing to do to let him have his gun back rather than Billings taking the gun and shooting him dead. There was a comment of, if we keep doing an eye for an eye, everyone will end up being blind, and there is some sensibility to that. While this was going on, Aiden had heard the single gunshot, had grabbed Dr. Wolfe's unconscious body, wrapped him up, and took him out into the north end of Amarna, or the city of Akhenaten. He hid out there, not knowing what was going on, trying to safeguard the heavily injured Dr. Wolfe. Raya and Ray, Raya had gone to catch up with Ray. Ray had gotten frustrated with everything that was going on, and a number of other things. Again, listen to the previous episodes. And she had talked him into coming back with the promise that she would help him with an invitation to Evelyn, and potentially more, if necessary, to help him find his missing son. They came back into your tent environs to find the end of all this, where Aiden was at the north end of the city, Dr. Wolfe was at the north end of the city, and if I remember correctly, Frankie and Marood were now at the north end of the city, having brought Mei Ling's body there. Mm-hmm. Aiden then spent some time removing certain parts of the bodies and doing as best he could an Egyptian-style burial. The question was brought up, and I didn't know the answer at the time. How do the Chinese, which is Mei Ling's nationality, how do the Chinese deal with their dead? So until recently being the last 150 years, I can't pin a time down. There's not an exact time that I find on the internet. Until that point, it's burial. There's an actual term for it. I apologize, I didn't remember the term. I just remembered that they buried their dead. There's a big push in China now, especially from the current premier. Is that what it's called? The premier? Anyway, the guy who runs China, there's a current push to cremate everything. But burial, since we are looking at the Victorian age, 1905, burial is what they would normally have done. Aiden has taken the body parts out, the main thing being the replacement of the heart with notes from everybody towards Mei Ling. They have buried the body 4.5 to 5 feet deep in the sand, hoping that it will help with the mummification, since you do not have salts or natron to dry the body out. The important parts, if I remember correctly, you have locked up and brought with you, so they can be replaced depending on how burial goes. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, I had thought so. And we ended with everybody back in the main tent. Frankie had knocked Dr. Wright out, trussed him up, as I said, by tying his hands and feet behind him, and laid him down on his right-hand side. His weapons have been stacked up by Cal away from his reach, and his valise was brought into the tent. The syringe of hide was placed back in, so yes, you probably have no idea what it is, although it would be the one thing that's out of place, so you might be able to figure that out.
Let me figure that out.
Exactly. And Dr. Wolfe is not, I'm going to use the words up, Dr. Wolfe is not awake either at this point. So that's where we leave the group. Is there anything that anyone was intending to do before evening where Aiden has mentioned to you guys, hey, it looks like we're already a day behind schedule because of what's happened? I know Dr. Wright and Dr. Wolfe have nothing to say about this, but the rest of you, is there anything that you wanted to do before we get to evening?
No.
So we're going to rush ahead a little bit. We still have Zosser, who has damage from the camel kick. What are you doing?
Fast forward.
Oh, fast forward. The bad part is that's probably trademarked, copywritten, something we're going to get in trouble
No, it's
for.
a noise. It's onomatopoeia. You can't.
I guarantee you that noise might be somewhere.
It's not
Yeah.
onomatopoeia,
We might get in
so
trouble
we'll
for
call
that.
it a parody and move forward.
There we go.
Isn't that what
We're
that is?
parodying.
Or am I just no?
Onomatopoeia is like bang, wham, like a sound effect.
Yeah, well, that's what you're that little doodle.
No, that's-
No. Stop telling us what we're trying to reference and leave it at that. It's a noise.
So
That could probably be cut.
evening comes, and the group is getting together. Zosser had been kicked in the chest by one of the camels. He is still healing. He is not particularly helpful in the teardown of the tent and the packing of things, but he does the best he can. You guys are down to 14 camels. You are also one less person riding. The decision was to have Billings ride with Raya, placing the trussed up Dr. Wright into the Billings, the saddle that basically holds beginners in it. Fairly easy to tie him in there. Now, one of the things you have to consider, are you, as a group, are you deciding to release his legs? Because he will potentially have his body parts, a lot of them, go to sleep if he's trussed in that way and set in there. If you set the legs free, you can tie him to the Billings and just keep him set. It was brought up by Marood and also by Billings, I believe, that he wouldn't be able to hold on to the camel if you guys just had him all laid out. And Frankie's response was, we can just tie him in the
I think as long as he's tied
Saddle.
to the saddle.
I
he's
thought we
fine.
were going to untie him
I think
after
we
we
had landed.
explained.
Yeah, on untying him, because where's he gonna go?
Right. There is
Like, I'm
definitely that.
running into the desert. Have a great time.
Yeah, I think we decided just to let him ride.
So you guys pack everything up. You've got things set. At this point, we have Bess and Ra, who are still going with you to safeguard you and get you guys, in theory, as best they can, back to Cairo. I went through and kind of looked at where were they supposed to bring you back, but they are bringing you back to Cairo as the group of Bedouins that they are with are very close to Cairo around the environs of the pyramids of Giza. The other two, which is Abrax and Zosser, they came with you guys because this was the group that potentially had some knowledge going south. So they are going to tell you they will begin the lead on this. As you guys head out, you have bundled up for the evening, and you begin riding. So has anything changed from Billings' riding with Raya? And we're tying or not tying.
We're not tying the doctor.
We're not tying Dr. Wright. Although presently he is still unconscious.
So I guess we'll have to.
So you've got him tied in place. Wolfe is also not conscious. Do we want to tie him to a camel?
Let's see. I think me and Dr. Wolfe are both pretty small. We could ride together.
All right, so you have him with you.
Just wrapped up in blankets all over. He's like a cocoon right now.
Little swaddled babe.
All right, so well, that was an unsuccessful removal of things. I apparently
Just for
tossed
that,
the
I'm gonna
distances,
pop out
but I
my
do
mouth.
know them. You guys are at present heading towards the Temple at Karnak. The Temple at Karnak,
It's the Temple of Karnak.
or the Karnak Temple, that's where you guys are going with the intention of basically swinging around and coming back. So, the temple, you guys were supposed to go there looking for Akhenaten's temple.
Yes.
There is a belief that it's there, and Grayling told you he thinks there is one there. Whether there is or not, we will see. You're going to head there now. The camels move. All right, does anyone else have the camel speed written down?
Oh, it was like 30 miles. Wasn't it like 30? Wait, hold up. No, I got it right
32
here.
or something miles per hour.
I know I wrote this sucker down because it was
I thought
weird.
I wrote it down.
I think like a dead sprint, they're at like 30-something miles.
No.
No,
What I was
camels
looking for
run
is
fast.
The camel
I bet a camel
speed, they
can go
move in a day.
70 miles an hour.
Yeah, they go 60 or 70.
Yeah, they're not
they
running
move
60
fast.
the camels are not going to go 60 or 70 miles an hour the entire way.
I would
I'm
love that
betting
though.
on
Just
the
like look at a
camels.
desert and just see.
Camels crossing the desert with speed.
Is that one drifting?
Crush 40, I hear you, right?
All right.
The
Well,
Nas canister.
That's one hump. The other one's water. Dump the hump.
Yeah. This is why you don't need horses when you got family.
Diesel. What are you doing? It's coming this summer.
Just fucking drifting camels through the freaking desert.
You glorious son of a bitch. You almost choked me.
You even made Barry leave. you made Barry leave.
I'm sorry.
no, Barry left because he realized where the camel speed was written down. So, the camels move at approximately 120 miles a day. So,
That's reasonable.
Good lord.
and that would be a normal travel. You guys are not traveling quite as long because you are traveling at night and you're traveling not at a dead run, but at a safe movement speed. So we go forward 4 days. You guys are coming around the Nile. Now, remember that you are presently going south, but upstream along the Nile. And in most cases, you guys are following the Nile. In a couple of the days, during the night, you guys hear the wash zagarit, the whispering moan that comes across the sands. During the day, as you guys tent up, you notice as you get farther south, there is a lessening of the grit in the air that's pelting you. During the day, the heat is not quite as bad as it's been. For Aiden, you are aware of the fact that this is not a change in season or anything like that. It just seems different to you. It's not so drastic that you're concerned. You have been at times where it's been less and more. And I'm not certain that you've been this far south. Do you envision that you've been this far south?
Yeah, I kind of figured I'd been all over for a couple of
Okay,
days.
but short, or do you think you would have spent any length of time here?
Well, probably like I imagined I went out with my trainer and then would do something and then come back, so it might have been
So
like a
much
couple
lesser.
weeks.
All right, so in that case, go ahead and give me an intellect roll, but add your wits to it as well.
I think they would have had some skill attached.
Wouldn't you? Well, wits perception was what we always were calling it, but I don't think there's actually...
Survival, if that works.
No, not for what I'm looking for.
Okay. Well, I think I have... Math is hard. Wait, hold up. Hey,
You have 19 total. Sorry, it's not you.
19. Yep.
With a 19. So you do remember that there are sections of the desert where it does start to ease up. Anytime you come to any city or dead city or collection of humans, you will find that it picks up. As you guys come around one of the lower bends, as you're coming south, again going upstream, it starts to pick up again, and Abrax will tell you that we are coming close to the old city. The old city, you know, Aiden, is Luxor. So as you guys start approaching, you get warned that we should approach during the day. We should stop here. We should approach during the day so that those Bedouins that are there know that we are coming in peace. Abrax asks the group, when you guys are inside the tent for the day, asks the group, or excuse me, when you guys finish your night getting ready to come out, does anyone have something that we can give as gifts?
I have a question.
You're up, by the way.
I am up, by the way.
In 4 days,
I'm curious.
Wolf, in 4 days, what everyone will notice on Wolf is the bleeding, the open wounds, the bleeding has stopped. There is a weird, shiny, it would be a scab, except it's not drying like a scab. But it looks like it is dry enough that the blood is not seeping through it. He is still blinking with clean skin on his eyes, and everywhere else, he looks like basically a comical burn victim, which the two don't go together, but you know what I'm saying.
I'll put 3 throwing knives on the pile and a bottle of slap and 5 pounds of scotch.
Okay?
For me, it's really important. What have you guys done with me for the past 4 days? Like,
Yes. That's a good question.
It's kind
So
of important for me to know how I
when
treat
you
you.
stop,
Ignored you.
That's
I get
perfectly
that.
fine.
But when you
That
guys
works.
stop, the evening ride is roughly 6 hours, at which point you guys take enough time to be able to set up the tent, set up the environs, first find a good serviceable place, and then set everything up, set the camels. Is anyone doing anything with Wright? Other than I'm sure nobody's ignoring him except Billings, right? Everyone's watching him.
I'll give him the stink eye a couple times,
get
and
you,
I'm
but-
definitely not letting him out of my sight.
Are you trying, Dr. Wright, to interact with anybody?
No, I'm like, well, when I wake up, my first question is, how's Billings doing?
Does anyone answer?
No.
Then if nobody
I'll tell
answers
him.
me,
All right, so Aiden says, I'm sorry, we're now having to jump back, but Aiden says,
He seems to be suffering some trauma, but otherwise is good.
well, I'll be happy to take a look at him. What are we gonna do about this? And I gesture I'm guessing I still have ropes on me?
no, everyone made the decision
You guys-
that you are unrestrained.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I'll probably get up and, have to stretch because I've just been roped for a while.
Correct?
And I will look and I'll see if my valise is near me.
Do you guys allow the release to be near him?
No. I think anything that he could use as a weapon is probably kept.
Yeah,
don't
he
see-
is not armed.
Next question is, did you guys strip search me?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Ew,
Would
really?
you guys
Wait a minute,
have
wait a
strip
minute.
searched me?
You ran through the litany of what you had on you. If there's something that you didn't tell them,
I have an
Nope.
elephant gun somewhere.
I mean,
It's my arm! I have a robotic arm. Jesus Christ, guys.
I,
Frankie
for
searched
one, am
everything.
confident I would not have searched his prison pocket.
My main thing is
I got
you,
this
search
watch.
pockets or anything
Yeah,
like
I mean,
that.
Frankie literally went from your head to your feet. And
so
did
is there
everything.
anything else Frankie would find other than the 2 knives, the 2 guns, and we made the decision that the cane was hidden away already.
You probably find 2 little amphetamine pills just kind of sitting around
Would
in
you-
my pocket.
Potentially, do you think you would have pulled them out? If you patted down, you wouldn't have felt them.
I would have had You know,
I would have
didn't-
turned out pockets.
Okay.
I would have.
So does he have nothing?
Yeah, nothing. You have clothes on your body.
You've taken everything.
Everything. So
I would have put your medicine in your bag.
do you
Probably
guys
just
feed
thrown 'em.
him? I mean, when you eat, do you bring him stuff?
Okay. No.
Does somebody
Yeah.
at this group, yes or no?
Are you,
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Are you keeping me somewhere, or can I
No,
walk around?
you're walking.
That's
As far
what
as
I'm
I know,
saying.
you're walking. So the idea has been, or it was proposed, that where are you going to go?
Okay, have you told me this? So, because I'll be like, all right, well, clearly I was bound, and I'm no longer. I see you're not going to let me have my valise or my weapons, which probably foolish on your end, but okay. What are we doing here? Are you going to kill me? Are we going to travel? What is going to happen?
Does somebody speak up in the first minute?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
And okay, so we agreed that you'll be taken back to London to be judged by a group of your peers.
I'll say, well, it seems like a fair assessment. Okay. Does that extend that one's invitation to not kill me while we're in the desert? Does that extend to the
No.
ride back? Okay. Well, then we'll deal with that when we cross it. So I just get to move around and do as I see fit without my instruments. How am I going to take care of or Dr. Wolfe? Are you going to... somebody going to hand me what I need? Often I need to look into my valise.
What would you do to him now?
Well,
I
I need
make
to...
a mention. Sorry to say, Wolfe has woken up and
Yep.
has been like sort of staring at his hands. He hasn't moved. I rolled low on my melancholy.
Sure.
So he's in this sort of thing where just nothing like clearly some things have happened, but nothing really has changed.
Nope. Nothing seems to have
I
changed.
don't think
You
there's a
look
lot
much
that you can
worse.
do for him at this point. I think you've done enough already.
Well, all of you can see that he looks, simply put, disgusting. So the possibility
Nasty little
of
wolf.
at least Dr. Wright making sure that he's not... Because, again, you guys would be aware of this, just not understanding what's going on. To make sure he's not infected, he doesn't have wounds that have some kind of creature in him, that kind of thing. And I don't mean some giant worm. I mean, like, he doesn't have lice or some
If
kind
you-
of other small pest.
If you need to tend to him, you can do so supervised.
I'll say, all right then. Okay. Then a tense ride we shall have.
All right. So, at some point the first night, Marud would approach you, pull you meaning he would ask you to come with him, pull you aside.
It's not like I could do anything anyway.
Right. But again, you are mostly getting the cold shoulder. You are not getting the people walking by you and smacking into you, pushing your head in your food, that kind of shit.
There is something that I will also be doing.
Of course
and
not.
that
Raya
is
is a lady.
that I will be watching as inconspicuously as I can everybody and basically learning patterns, seeing who's watching me, how lax they get, basically I'm just looking for what's
All right,
around
so
me.
one more step then before Marud. Frankie, what does he notice of you in regards to him? What does Dr. Wright notice in regards to you looking over the 4 days?
I would imagine that between Ray, Raya, and I, there's always
You
someone.
specifically, I'm going to ask
Yeah.
them.
Oh yeah, like
Do you take your turn, or are you always watching? Because I know what Raya's answer is before I even ask.
if I'm sleeping, I'm not looking, but otherwise, yeah. That's
All right,
what
so you're
yeah.
always watching.
Yes.
Okay, Ray, you're asked to take quote-unquote watch as far as watching him. Do you envision that you are constantly watching him, or just when you're asked to?
Only when I'm asked to, and even then, I'm kind of lazily watching him because he steals a camel. He goes off in the desert. Then what? He's from London.
Right.
I'm gonna go back to Cairo. Oh yeah, sure. 3-4 days later, where's Cairo?
Dr. Wolfe, for you, do you interact with him?
Wolfe
You have now, since you've been woken up, you do have an understanding of what's happening.
yeah. That's probably part of the melancholy thing. Is
Okay.
that he is like looking at his hands. Nothing's changed. Mailing is dead. He's got this whole thing, and he's internalizing that this is all his fucking fault. This is his fault. that Mei Ling's dead, that he's like this, that he's still burning. It's that melancholy is just compounding right now. So
would you?
He is just wallowing in his own pity. He's
So
not even.
no,
looking.
you would not interact with him either.
Not unless he talks to me.
Hey.
So,
Do I hear Linkin Park? No, just kidding.
oh, it's those damn scarabs in my skin.
Don't at me right now, Matt.
I'm not being any indifferent to him. I'm, I'm not like giving him the death stare or like
right.
at him, but I'm just basically trying to go as nothing ever happened. Really,
You didn't really interact much with him regularly, so
Yeah.
you would seem normal, except that no one else is.
I did witness though a lot of his craziness, so
doubt.
I think I would act very much not to trigger the craziness. Like last thing we need is him
So
walking
walking
off.
on glass.
No, I just wouldn't be doing anything that, like, if he'd say, I'm the best doctor in all of London, I'd go, yep, that's what I've heard.
Okay, very good.
Because if I were to challenge that, I'd afraid he'd just walk out of the tent and then 10 minutes later come in and shoot me. So,
Ryan, am I wrong in assuming?
I'm sorry, that's really funny, Matt.
Am I wrong in assuming that you are watching basically anytime you're awake?
Anytime I'm awake, yes.
So,
He absolutely disgusts me.
so Marud will bring you outside, and he will make sure no one is close by. You'll notice that, as usual, there are two, one from each of the Bedouin groups, plus one of the three of ours outside watching, but he makes sure he walks away.
And as we're walking, I'll say, Marud, are you hurt? Did going out, did anything hurt you? Are you in need of any care?
I am not, Doctor.
That's good, that's good. Now, what can I do for you?
Well, I wanted to speak to you about what's coming. You are the one who seems to have the most knowledge about what we're looking for and where we're supposed to be looking for it. Which means you're necessary. Your choice to do what you do, it will be a court's choice to make a decision on you. That does not fall to me. What I want to make certain is that nothing else interrupts us as we move forward with this. Cal appears to be very involved in finding the answers as well, which means that I am very involved in it. Is there anything that you need done? Is there anything that you are looking for that is outside the purview of what we have been told you're looking for? I have heard often about your wife. I haven't heard much, but I've heard often about her. My apologies that she's not with you, but is there something that you're looking for that is not part of this expedition?
Say, Marud, no. I simply want to get this finished. We've been here for far too long, and now that Mei Ling is out of our vicinity, I think things will go much smoother. And how is Billings? How is he dealing with all of this?
Well, you seem to be watching them as much as I do. I can make nothing of it.
Oh.
I have heard from people on my travels of cases like his. The United States. There is a city there in the middle of the States, a New Orleans. He acts like I've been told people there can be voodoo or voodoo zombie, which is a name we give so many things I can't be certain.
Well, I will say, compared to the first time that we were around Billings, he did change quite a bit. And it wasn't until I started noticing some oddities with Mei Ling. Something did not sit right with me. And, well, not that anybody would actually believe me of, those in there, but I think you and Cal might. She had, and we saw she had powers, but she had some sort of strong psychic ability. She nearly stopped me from doing what I needed to do.
You checked his blood. Is he alive?
Yes, as far as I saw, he is alive. If he wasn't, I suppose if she was animating him in some way, which would be quite interesting. And
Was
many
his
others.
blood peculiar in any way?
No. Yes. Was it? I don't remember then. It's been long enough. Was his blood peculiar?
It has the same blood disease that you do, where the animates are attracted to you, or something like that.
Oh,
It's
does
the
he
same.
have bad blood?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
he has the
okay.
same thing that you and I have.
I did not remember that. And then I'll say, well, he does have a certain genetic tracer that makes him more, well, delicious smelling to animates. They're attracted to that kind of genetic marker. We're not really sure why yet, we being the scientific community, but that was the only thing. So I would suggest that if he gets bitten or perishes, that you chop his head off post haste, because, well, he'll turn quickly.
And this blood disease, you've seen it in others?
Oh, yes, back in London. I've seen it in plenty of others.
And
It's-
it doesn't do this. And
Oh.
he's kind of wrangling his finger at the tent.
And I'll say, oh, no. Luckily, it doesn't do anything but affect your smell and presence to the animates. We're still trying to find the links exactly what, if it's an olfactory thing or if it's something beyond that, we're not sure.
Very good.
But I intend to get through this. Apparently I'm being put on trial, so I might as well go and get that done as quickly as I can.
I think that is a good choice, Doctor.
And based on our conversation, our being Cal's and mine's, back in Cairo, I believe you were there, yes, or you at least were by the door. I'm gonna assume you could hear it. Cal does seem to want me more alive than not. I believe I would be much more useful.
I will not speak of that.
That's fine,
For-
you don't need to
for
speak
him.
of it. Just perhaps keep it in mind.
I forget nothing, Doctor.
Wonderful. Well, is there anything else that you'll be requiring of me?
See, Sequoia, he's a were-elephant. There's nothing else.
Are you a thrope? Can you be real with me in this moment?
You guys have been bugging on him being something.
You know,
He is something.
He is something very...
There's something.
Maroon, we have two throats in here. If you were a throat, you tell us.
Yeah, you tell us.
We're cool. We can hang.
Doctor,
Ropes in this
I will
area.
I will always keep what Cal needs under strict confidence and advisement.
Excellent.
I would ask you to be careful, move cautiously, and try not to annoy the rest.
Oh, I will be moving quite cautiously. Thank you.
So, we'll hop back forward to fourth night, which is leading towards day. Everyone is set up. As you guys are laying down in the tent to take a small amount of sleep, getting the pile of gifts together. I don't know if anyone's adding anything more to Frankie's gift pile.
It's not a very good gift pile.
No, but it's something.
I don't have anything to add.
That's fine.
I'm poor.
I'll say, well, if you would like, you're perfectly fine to give me my valise and I can sift through it for some things.
And it doesn't sound like the group does anything, so Abrex says we will try with this. And by the way, I want to remind everyone that I'm assuming Ray and or Aiden are interpreting. Thank
Yes.
you. I would assume that Ray and Aiden are translating for you guys, but they are continuing to talk in that form. He says, I think we can do something with that. At least that's my hope. It's just to show that we're not coming in empty-handed is all. Because they will probably do the same that we did, and from what I understand, happened with you going to, and he only mentions one name, which is the first time you guys have heard one of the group talking about any one of the other group. But he says, Ra's people did with you as well. We will be brought to food.
We trauma bonded the Bedouins.
Well, yes, you did. All right. So while everyone's starting to relax, most people expect to fall asleep. Throughout the time, Billing seems to be very aware when you're riding, asks a lot of questions when he's not shushed. He will fall asleep very easily. He will stay asleep pretty much every time until he's woken, unless you guys sleep for more than 6 hours, which I don't think is probably going to happen too often. But he will also, like everyone else, fade in and out during the day as well. Dr. Wright, go ahead and give me a willpower roll. Straight willpower.
17.
You see your wife. This is now the third time since coming to Cairo that you've seen her, and the second time in 5 days. And she is floating over Frankie.
Ooh.
Last time, I'll
one to
remind you, she was
die.
floating over Mei Ling.
Oh no. Don't say that. Don't put that on me.
This is the next one. You know what must be done, right?
I cut into my stomach and pull out my shotgun.
That's where the elephant goes.
There it is. So, seeing that, I'm gonna ride up next to Frankie.
Oh, no, this is in the tent.
This is in the tent? Oh, okay.
This is in the tent while you guys are
Yeah,
relaxing.
this is like, get in my camel. Sorry, it's
Frankie, my ego has to be held some way. I must speak with you.
It's the baby one. Anyway, so I'm gonna, I look. Does she disappear as I look for like 10 seconds at her? No?
She just stays over. She never disappeared over Mei Ling until you shot her.
Yeah. Should I borrow someone's gun? No, I'll stand up. Now, am I right to assume that if I stand up in the tent, there's, 6 eyes on me, or
Oh, yes.
5 eyes on me at
Yeah,
least?
any
If
of
anyone
the,
stood up in
Yeah.
the tent, we would do that.
any of the 3
That's
of
not
them
on
are
you.
in here, because there's usually only 2. If they're awake, their eyes on you. They've all said that.
I guess my thing is more, is everybody like hand on gun look at me,
Have you
or
been playing
yeah,
on
is this like I hear 5 or 6 guns,
I don't think so.
You hear the slothing of skin as
Yeah.
I just repair his throat. No, I'm just kidding.
The first night today, well, possibly, not that you would hear clicks of guns, but there would have been reactive. Now it's become commonplace, so no.
So I'm gonna walk over towards. Is there a spot next to Frankie?
Yes, there can always be made a spot.
So I'll come closer to Frankie. Is she still there?
She's still there. So are you looking above Frankie's head as you walk over to Frankie?
No. So I'll be looking at Frankie. I mean,
Yeah,
I've done this
sit up
before.
and
I know you're watching
yeah.
him, and now he's coming towards
I'm
you.
just watching.
And so, I'll walk over. Frankie, my boy, might I sit next to you for a moment? Do you just...
He hasn't in 4 days asked this.
Frankie, is there something you want to tell me?
No.
So, it sounds like you're mad. And you see me like kind of look above you. I'll say, how are you feeling, Frankie?
Is there a point to this?
Yes, I want to see how you're doing.
I have nothing to discuss with you.
All right, well, Frankie, I mean, there's always more time to discuss, I suppose. I just wanted to make sure you were all right, and I'll look above you a few times.
The second time you look above Frankie, you will see your wife. The visage changes, or the vision, changes from full body to just her head. Her head will turn and speak, and then half of her head will just, nothing gross, just it disappears like in a picture, and an ear is receiving it. And as it pans from the speech into the ear and pans back to her full head, her eyes will go straight forward.
And I'll follow the eyes.
Nope, they're
Oh.
out.
Oh,
in
the
tent
eyes
somewhere.
go. I thought you meant they like look
No,
straight forward.
Right, her eyes just look straight forward as if she's in a trance.
Well, that's strange. All right, Frankie, and I'm gonna stand up. Well, if you feel like talking, I'm open to it. Have a good evening, and I'll kind of like scratch my head and then like
Look up?
look up and
Okay, so as you look up, she starts to melt away, just disappear. And the last scene that you see as most of her is just kind of, and when I say melt away, I said it wrong. Basically, she disappears in rivulets. The last scene you see, all the rivulets are blood, and she disappears.
well, that can't be good. Okay, Frankie. Well, it seems everything's fine then. I will go back to my corner. And I go back to my corner. I sit down and I stare over where the ear was. Would that be my like ear level? Like, because you said there was like speech going towards it,
Yeah,
right?
there was. Nope, that was
No.
not it. So again, what you saw is she turned her head to the side. She said something, Go ahead and give me, this is outlandish, go ahead and give me a wits roll.
Okay. Whatever it is, I don't think I'm getting it.
I mean, you never know.
Oh, no, I mean, like, me, Pedro. Let me see
I'm about to
here.
sneeze one moment.
So you said intellect, right?
No, this is a wit roll.
Wit roll. Perfect, that's even better. So wit roll is going to be a 19.
You are fairly certain, replaying it a couple of times, that she spoke the trigger words into her own ear, at which point her eyes just faced forward.
Oh. Okay.
All right, we've moved through the end of the evening, or the end of the night, into the day. Day breaks. What would be equivalent to about 8 or so. Abrax will say we should break down the tents and start heading in. And he said, for any of you that have weapons, please keep them out of sight or holstered. Don't brandish anything, even if they do. I will lead us in. And he will take the stuff that you laid out if no one added to it. And he doesn't say anything like, this is shit. And he just kind of wraps it up into effectively a small blanket and takes it onto his camel and leads the group. You were finger up?
Yeah, who has my guns? Like, what are you guys doing with my stuff? Like,
I don't
where
think
is
anyone's
it?
going to tell you that.
The better.
I don't think you've seen.
Off the record, they're in the valise.
Right, but I don't think you've seen him.
Yeah.
Do I know where my valise is? I mean...
Does he know? Does
No.
anyone?
No.
I don't think
So
you've
you
seen
guys
it.
have stashed it somewhere, and I have not seen it since.
Exactly.
That would be what I would
That's
say.
fine. I just need to know
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
No, you're
my
good.
stuff
That's
generally
what I would
is.
say.
All your stuff is in the bag.
Okay.
As you start coming around, as the Nile wends farther upstream but south, as it comes around, you start seeing portions of the city of Luxor. Now, when I say the city, this would be the city circa 1905. So the majority of it is falling down and dilapidated. You guys can see as you're approaching it, there are some small outer works that have been built up. You're guessing bags of sand, that kind of thing to create an outer wall, but it doesn't look like it worked. As you approach, Abrax will look back at the group and speak comfortably loud for you and say, hold here, I see them. Anyone want to make a wits perception roll, you are welcome to. If you're rolling, you need an 18 plus. Let me know if anyone succeeds.
I doubt that.
For the rest of you who don't, and again, tell me if you have, he starts riding towards a solid portion of the wall with the, so I see a nod. So
Yeah, I got it.
You did.
I am impressed, even with all the penalties I'm under right now. I got it.
All right. So the two of you will see rifles. I don't know that either of you is a big deal person with weapons. The rifles would look old. to
Yeah, I
you.
mean, I think Frankie's super comfortable with. He probably has like a catalog in his head.
Oh,
but
of guns?
all of it. Yeah.
All right, then I'll go the other side. You know that these are old weapons that have been kept up. They're going to just look old to you.
I mean, like musket old.
Yeah, not quite that old, but 1900s rifles.
Definitely bold actions.
Definitely bolt
Oh, it's
action.
like the thing.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
They are old, but they look completely serviceable to you.
Okay.
So he is riding up towards at least 5 guns aimed at him that you can see. For the two Egyptian speakers, you can hear him say, "We bring gifts. We would like to speak with your lead." That is the way it's going to translate. So a few moments wait. Those of you that can see the guns, and now as the rest of you are sitting there, you will eventually see one or more of them. 2 of the guns of the 5 that you saw will disappear. A man and a young girl, both carrying the 2 rifles you saw disappear, come out. The young girl has 10 to 12, has the rifle pointed in the general direction of the group. The man straps his across his back, comes out, takes the bag from Abrax, who is still on camel, and the 2 of them walk back in. What they're walking through is a broken area of the wall. They are gone for maybe 10 minutes. The girl comes back out, not carrying her gun. She comes back out. She says something quietly to Abrax, and he looks back and says, "My friends, if you will step off your camels, we will tie them and we will head in." and he gets off his camel and walks it close to the opening. As the rest of you start coming to the opening, you will see there is a low rail that is run along it that disappears into some of the broken portions of the city and also some of the very, very sparse, not really pretty vegetation that's there. So you tie it off, you follow her in, you get brought into a room similar to the type that you guys have been in, but this is not a tent. You guys are actually inside of a room. As you come in, there is absolutely an inner barrier. You can well see beyond a shadow of a doubt at this point that this is very well fortified. It's just not that big. So Abrax will continue to speak to them. He will speak to the man who appears to be in charge. The man who appears to be in charge they talk back and forth. For the Egyptian speakers, they're just trading pleasantries. I hope the gift was to your liking. You honor me, you bring me more than I need, which all of you know is not really, it's really true as you get it kind of told back to you. And he says, what do you ask of me? And the man is introduced as Masuda, and he will come over, he will extend his hand to everyone. He gets through a couple of you, he will stop short at Dr. Wolfe. He will eventually extend his hand to you.
Yeah.
And
Well,
when he sees... Go
yeah.
ahead.
Well, Wolf's got at least like bandages and gloves on. For
Okay.
his hands.
Are your hands covered?
Yes.
Then he doesn't recoil so badly.
He's still got. He's like keeping his hood down and stuff like that.
He's gonna see that.
Yeah.
But when you shake his hand as he extends, he grabs your hand and then he holds it. He feels very strong. You don't question whether or not you could break his grip. You are certain you could.
Right.
But he holds on strong and he looks. And for those of you who speak the language, he says, this man is royalty. And all of the Bedouins, there are 14 Bedouins in there, all of the Bedouins in there take a knee, bow their heads once, and then stand back up as if nothing happens. For those non-Egyptian speakers, you have no idea what the hell just happened.
Wolf
He
is
finishes
just
the
like
shake.
not in his head right now, so it's just like whatever.
He finishes the shake and moves on as if nothing happened.
I just know a language.
So
You, on the other hand, you picked up on something possible.
you should know more. Aiden, if you don't, you may make an intellect roll for me. Intellect with history.
Something while you're doing that is a little different about Dr. Wright now. He doesn't bother with the limp, and actually he now stands straight up. He doesn't have that hunch, and he basically walks tall. Basically, the facade's done.
It's done.
14?
How much?
14?
So with a wow, you really don't know that much about it. So with a 14,
Do you want to chip it?
You can chip
We got
it.
plenty of chips.
You also got.
I got-
yourself a
This
reroll.
feels
I
kind
got
of
my
important.
reruns.
Are you chipping or are you
I'm
using your
re-rolling,
All
just
right.
doing my re-rolls. That's not much better.
Use different dice. Those are crappy dice.
Okay, Jill.
That was rude. Your dice were
I'm
wonderful.
just kidding. I'm just kidding.
What?
They're my dice.
Sorry.
No, those are still not good dice.
No, because he's insulting Sequoia's dice.
Let's just do a test
Come on,
roll.
come
at
on.
this point. There we
9,
go.
10. Yep, I like that a lot better.
Yeah, my dice are good.
19.
Okay, Michael.
I'm trying to encourage it so it'll keep doing good rolls.
That is
It's nothing
21.
against you. You just have crappy dice.
Those dice gave me a 19 10 minutes ago.
So with 21, you know exactly what they're talking about. He has 6 fingers on each hand. Polydactyly
Yep.
runs through many of the Egyptian dynasties.
Right.
And the way he reacted was not peculiar at all to you. It is fairly obvious, in his current state it's not completely obvious, but it's fairly obvious that Dr. Wolfe is not Egyptian. So he is not royalty here. He just knows he's royalty somewhere.
You don't know. I mean, he could. No, never mind. I won't go
Right.
down
Well,
that
again,
path.
he can't be absolutely certain considering the state that he's in.
Right.
You know, if at any point you were to ungarb yourself, it would be even bigger question for him. But I'm not certain with the, when you blink, it's the only way that somebody's going to know what you look like. Otherwise, with the mix of the burns, the brown crusting flesh, the skin flaps, the missing hair, you have supperous bleeding wounds on you that have, they're not currently bleeding, but they have glossed over. You're an abomination.
I know. You've
Make a
solved
melancholy
the
roll.
whole skin color issue.
But here's the thing.
Just burn it off.
You look bad, Michael.
The eyes, though, that's where it's at.
And that's
You
it.
look
When you blink, they realize that you're not Egyptian. They can comfortably know that. In fact, probably not from this continent, although not a guarantee, probably not from this continent, at least for their consideration. So, food is brought out. It is as meager as it was the last time. There is a thin gruel. There are very small pieces of some kind of animal flesh protein type thing. It is less flavorful, and you would assume that that is because they have less spices here. Okay, nobody's saying anything, so I'm going to have Frankie and Raya both give me an intellect roll.
Cool.
It's human meat.
No, that's not where we're going.
I'm like, what do you want, Bear?
It's like, were we supposed to say something?
You're
No.
a living
I know.
human jerky factory right here.
Ew, Michael!
Ooh, actually, could you scrape a little onto my plate?
I know so much about this. I got a 21.
15.
How much?
15.
So with a 15. So if I remember correctly, Frankie was actually with Mei Ling when she bought the spices.
Yeah, I was.
But you remember that Mei Ling had some spices as well. Now, whether she has them now, you don't know. But potentially, what should click in you guys' head is, hey, they don't have spices here, and oh, hey, we may have something if there's a need to trade at some point, or whatever you want to do with that knowledge. So the food is served. You guys eat for a bit. There is quiet talk between Abrax and you, Aiden, and the lead. And he tells you that he's not certain where you're going. They can direct you as far as places, if you can describe something. At some point he says, do you have anything to look at? And this comes the question. Do you ask Dr. Wright for that and show him that? Do you show him the rubbings?
Do we know where the
You
rubbings
know, well,
at?
Frankie knows exactly where the rubbings are.
Can I borrow the rubbings for a second, Doctor?
Doctor doesn't know where they are.
I'll say...
Frankie, do you pick up on that?
My boy, I don't think I have a choice. You guys have taken everything from me, so...
I'll go grab them.
May I have the rubbings?
I'll get up and go
Yeah.
to the
So
camels.
you dash out. Do you try and follow Frankie?
They're not gonna let me.
No, they're not, but I'm
No,
asking. No.
no,
All right,
no.
good.
I mean, no.
So
But I am
Frankie-
gonna watch Frankie.
All right, so Frankie goes out, and then a few minutes later comes back. Did you bring the valise or just the rubbings?
Just the rubbings.
Very good. So the rubbings are brought in. It's out through 3 walls in a building. You're not going to see
No, that's not it. Did you disengage the booby traps?
I also am gonna look in Mailing's pack. Are the spices in there?
Yes.
She's
I'm
got.
gonna put them in my pocket.
Frankie comes back. He's got like 12 needles of meth.
I was just out for a second.
So it's a couple of good-sized bags, the size of a softball.
The one that smells the best to me. Oh, all of them combined are softball
No.
size?
Yes,
No.
each of them. There should be
The
3.
one that smells the best to me.
you bring back.
I will bring back.
in your pocket.
Yes.
Okay.
Just give them all 3.
No.
No.
No, we
Okay.
gotta
We have to
bribe
cook
them.
still.
You gotta tease them.
So you bring the rubbings in. Do you hand them to Aiden or do you bring them up? All
I
right.
give them to Aiden.
If everybody at some point is done eating and we're still talking, they will bring out these very small, honestly, they look like mud pies, like little clumps of that. But as you get it to you, there is a texture to them and they are slightly sweet. All right? Not quite the carob type. There's an actual sweetness to them. And you will see that the younger Bedouins will grab more than one until they're told, basically slapped or told not to. So he'll look through the rubbings with you. He will
Are those
ask.
fig pies?
What's that?
Are those fig pies?
Wait,
The
before you
little-
answer. Oh, I was gonna get
Sorry.
dates. I was gonna
I'll
get
ask
like
you
a date.
what they are.
They're fig pies.
Okay. Those fig pies. Yeah, they're fig pies.
So he will look at him. He will talk with a much older gentleman than him, which for you guys should be one of the oldest Bedouins you have seen now. Fully white hair, but all of it's still on him. Large white beard, kind of the Gandalf kind of look.
Okay.
Santa? No.
It's very
Sand.
sand.
As one.
Yeah, take
Can
points.
I wit perception, like if I feel like they're holding anything back?
Doesn't feel like
Okay,
it. You don't even
okay.
make it. Doesn't feel like it.
Okay, it's very important to me who is sitting next to me and how big is this table or where we're sitting.
Frankie,
It's not
I'm
table,
sure, is sitting next to you, and Raya is going to be sitting within knife reach.
Okay, who else is near me?
Probably.
Marud is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, Marud's probably going to be close to you,
Okay.
maybe next to Frankie.
Okay, but
Or maybe
Marud
Cal.
or Cal is not sitting next to me.
No, neither of them
Okay.
is sitting directly next to you.
Then it is irrelevant. Continue.
They're at least one off. So the older one will talk with him, and basically they're talking about, have you seen this? And he says, I've seen similar. And they kind of go back and forth in description of where the descriptions are not going to be important, but they're talking about where to cross the water, where to go in, what piece of the temple. And at the end of this,
Writing
you guys,
it all down.
What's that?
I'm writing it all down.
Okay. At the end of this, you have a fairly good idea, and so does Abrax, of where to go. These Bedouins are not offering to send someone with you. Not to say they've said we're not going. They have not specifically offered to send anyone with you, which all the others so far have. So they tell you you are welcome to move in their lands. They truly appreciate the gifts that you have brought. And when Masuda says that, he looks at Dr. Wolfe as the gifts that you brought, and his eyes fall on Dr. Wolfe and then looks back to you.
Okay.
I already see where this is going.
So it appears that
Well, of course, Wolf doesn't know anything what's being said, and he's stuck in his own head still. Like
at this point, the meal is finished, and you know this is the time you guys would leave.
Okay. I'll thank you for the meal.
Mm-hmm.
And I will, stand up and give the proper bow or greeting type of thing, and then...
Cal and Marud follow it up. All 4 Bedouins follow it up. Of the 5 remaining of you, does anyone not do it? Not endeavor to do some kind of a thank you, bow, something.
No, I'll make a gesture.
I'd absolutely be
And
polite.
I know how to say thank you, so
Yeah,
I'll say
right.
that too.
Perfect.
Wolf,
Yep.
Wolf maybe probably needs a prod to get moving, but as soon as he realizes, he'll just get up and he'll make a bow
So
as well.
Billings has been mostly quiet through all of it. There's been a couple of questions, but nothing big. Mostly on the foods, and do you see a lot of people? Do many people? He's trying to get you to ask, but it's not. It shouldn't be obnoxious. He's not interrupting. But now at the end of it, he says, "Hey, could you ask them? I've gotten to understand that there are people that come through here. Could you ask him if a larger group of people, say upon camel, were to come in, would his people be willing to take them through the ruins?"
What larger group would this be, Billings?
Well, as you know, I am still trying to set up a
Oh,
tourist.
yes.
Yes,
I'm
yes,
sorry.
you understand. And I wouldn't want to intrude on his lands, but possibly if we could make things better for him.
Okay. Yeah, we could... I'll explain to the Bedouins that this gentleman is hoping to have tours that go through, and he's willing to help pay money, and it would bring lots of resources and stuff to each tribe, and if he would be interested in having people come down here.
Do you have trade as a skill?
I do not have trade as
Then I need a charm roll.
I do have the charm.
You have the charm. Put on the charm.
You don't have trade?
You have barter or something?
I was looking for a skill and I didn't see one that was really like that. So
Wait a minute. Why do I have trade?
Why do you
I
have
didn't,
I do have trade.
He's like, give me all your money right now.
I trade
No.
you your life for.
Yeah.
so that would be 14.
So with a 14, he nods, and the back and forth is what kind of things could be brought. You're the go-between. You're the interpreter, and Billings says what kind of things would you need. And initially, Masuda doesn't really know what he's asking for, effectively you say to somebody, what do you need? Well, good Lord, I mean, what are you offering? And that goes back and forth.
I'll recommend to Masuda that he asks for like food or medicine or things that the tribe really needs.
Right, and as you're mentioning that to him, he's nodding, which excites Billings. Billings starts to become, for everyone who's watching, becomes more animated as this happens. And I don't mean weird, but he's more awake, more aware, and more focused on this conversation than he's been on any conversation in 4 days.
There's actually a moment where, the mention of medicine for the people, like, because I'm sure there's parts of it going in English and stuff, something clicks in Wolfe, and despite the fact that he's been in this deep depression and something, just this idea that, these people need medicine and stuff like that, some part of him intrinsically, one, to help Billings out, and two, to assuage his own guilty conscience, he goes, and you need to go get to my valise real fast, I'll be right back. And so he goes, and he's going to get 4 vials of hyoscine, and he's going to bring it back and present it as a gift to them, as to help assure Billings' statement of medicine and food, and he'll explain to Aiden, like, tell him these are painkillers and
painkillers, and are they injectable?
They are injectable.
So are you giving him a hypodermic as well?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah, I have several.
Okay.
So
that is
and
received.
I show him exactly like how much you want to go in order to do the painkiller, not to.
That is exceptionally well received, and he will ask you, Aiden, will your friend, meaning him, will your friend watch? And he sticks the needle in, draws the amount you did, and for the older man, sticks him in the arm, on the left arm, around the elbow.
Okay.
And they wait. He asks you to ask him, how long should this take?
It shouldn't take more than a minute.
And it's not that long, maybe a minute and a half. The old man is moving his elbow and nodding his head, and he's saying, wow, I haven't been, it's not quite this calm, but I haven't been without pain in a very long time. This is surely magic. Which the other one says, no, it's medicine, the word that you use, which he used with you.
Right.
If they wish, I can show them how to make this.
Potentially you could. What you would need is the right herbs and
Right.
et cetera,
I can ask them. I can give them at least an idea of what they may need. And show them.
I don't know that you would offer, but I think you would not have him offer that because of the time constraint for getting it going. You are still, as far as I know, worried about time.
Also, if you work with Billings here, he could bring people to teach you how to make those types of drugs and stuff.
This would be very valuable to my people.
Yes.
Yes. And he puts out his hand towards Billing. When Billings puts his hand out, you can see just the quick. He looks at the hand to see how many fingers on it. Now you're sure that's what it is.
Yep.
He's already shaken Billings' hand, but he just real quick is like, oh, not the right one. But he shakes his hand and he says to you, "Let your man know that when it's set up, we are willing to bring people through."
Okay. I inform him.
Okay. So you guys head out. As you start coming into the area, the portion of the Temple of Karnak where you're going.
There's something really important though. If we go back to our are we going back to our camels at all?
Yes, you are.
So I pay very close attention
To where they put the...
to where they put the thing.
And where do you
I
guys
want
put
to
the rubbings?
specifically not let them see it. So if you need me to make a sneaky
Well, I
roll.
want to start with, what are you guys going to do with the rubbings? Do they go back into the valise?
You know what? I'll keep them.
And
Yeah,
what
I
do you
think
do
you
with them
keeping them in
specifically?
the
I'll put them
What do
in
you
my
do?
bag and...
All right. So you will see him gently roll them up and set them into his bag. Or not.
No, I have a little, kind of
Satchel.
Scroll
portfolio
case type thing?
I have a portfolio type thing.
All right.
I'll put it in
Very
there.
good. So it takes... You unwrap that, set them in, and wrap it back down.
Very careful.
So you guys are moving along the river. As you're coming up river, the Temple of Karnak is obvious to everyone. We are in the highest portion of the day for heat, and as you guys are coming away from the water, Abrax will say to you, I think that we should wait to go in the afternoon. I think the heat is going to be oppressive enough that we should simply wait here. Are you good with that?
I'm good with that.
I think we should move away from the river a bit, but
We should also probably keep an eye out for alligators.
Mm-hmm. As soon as you say, let's move away from the river, he nods with you. So you guys move up to a higher vantage
Or
point.
crocodiles, I forget which one, but yeah.
Propagators.
So It is crocodiles.
It is crocodiles.
So as you guys move up to a vantage point, you guys are in a portion of a broken down portion of a building. You're probably on stone. I wouldn't think there'd be much in the way of wood left here. So there might be splinters, but not a whole lot more. And up on the stone, you will see that there is movement in the river. And you do see a couple of very large, your estimate is somewhere in the range of 15 to 17 feet, creatures moving through the water.
Do we all see them?
Initially, maybe one or two of you, but I cannot imagine that anyone wouldn't say something so that everybody is watching.
Frankie's like a Labrador. Like,
Yeah,
what's that?
right.
What's over there?
Yeah. This is your first monster. Now, everyone who was at the park, so many years ago in real life, has seen an alligator, but not a crocodile, and not one anywhere near this size.
I'm gonna ask Maru, do you ever take one of those down?
I have not taken one that size. We have eaten them before.
Are
so
they
yes,
good?
smaller ones. The flavor is tangy.
What could have any river this size? What on earth could have caused them to have to grow that big? That's the thing. Wolf's like you're talking about.
You should see the things they have to compete with.
Yeah.
What do they compete with?
Everybody looks at Ray.
Yeah.
Oh shoot! You guys are from London. You guys know what a hippo is, right?
Hippo? What's a hippo?
Yes, I'm
That
aware
you
what
don't know what it is. There were not hippos in the park.
Maru, have you ever killed a hippo? What's a hippo?
A very dangerous creature.
Something that would make to bite one of those things happen in a hurry, and why we don't stay near the river very long.
The language we get hippo from means river death.
What's like the Victorian word for awesome?
Smashing.
Stupendous.
Stupendous.
And Marud now begins looking up and down river and says, I don't think we are in environs for the hippo, but the crocodile does move up and down a good portion of the area. They'll move for food. And you ask Doctor why they were this large. Consider that they can eat carrion.
I want to specifically try, while they're talking, to get up. All I'm gonna do is I want to go relieve myself, but what I'm specifically trying is I'm trying to be quiet. I want to see how sneaky I am and see if anybody. I want to try and look for a lull, see if they're all
This is the
paying
moment he
attention.
shoves Wolf. It's like, oh, they eat carrion. Let's try to shove Wolf into the.
I'm not even trying to hurt anybody, do anything. I'm literally just trying to go.
You're checking your sneak, so
Yeah.
go ahead and give me a sneak roll. It's not sneak?
It's not
it's
sneak,
shadow,
it's
right?
shadowing. Yeah.
And when he's behind me, he judo
And
chops.
I don't have shadowing, so
All right,
what's
so it's going to just
Is it
revert to your
coordination?
coordination, and I'm going to have Raya, Ray, and Frankie go ahead and give me a wits roll, please.
I'm definitely at a negative.
I'm
I'm
gonna
very
use
interested in the
a
alligator.
reroll. I'm gonna use another reroll.
There are hippos in there.
Hey.
Where though?
The thing I
It just says in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I know they're in the Nile. What I was assuming was not in the area where he's at.
All right, I'm not that. I just
Wait,
got a
that's a
critical
crit.
win.
19.
So a 19 and a
So we're doing shadowing or
no. You're
Doesn't matter. You
doing
got a crit.
Oh, 24 for win.
okay, and Ray.
I got like a 13.
Okay, and Dr. Wright.
I'm petty pleased. I got a 20.
So the only one who does see you is Frankie.
So I just basically.
And Frankie, you will watch him. He initially heads out, seems to be going in no particular direction, and then he kind of takes on the moves to shadows, right? He's
Yeah.
obviously doing the disappearing act, but it's not hard to follow him. And do you actually relieve yourself?
Yeah, go
And
ahead.
then he stops and maybe relieving himself. It's your choice to decide what you feel about that.
So something I haven't done in a long time, but something that is kind of like a second nature to me, is I'm going to signal to Raya to look over at him just so she sees him before the urination begins.
Okay. So Raya, give me another wits roll.
Sneaky.
I only got a 10 that time.
So, actually, you will specifically, which is weird, you will have to specifically point him out. He is doing a very good job of peeing in the shadows.
By the way, that's the name of this episode.
Yeah, if it seems like Raya doesn't see him, I will point.
Okay.
But
And you see him. He goes. He is standing still. You have to believe he's relieving himself.
And then you see me kind of like hop twice, like not hop, but and then I basically turn around, and I'm specifically looking to see who's looking at
and I'm gonna meet you dead in the eyes. I'm looking right at you.
me. That's fine. So I see you, and do I see Raya as well?
Well,
Do you point
once
where I'm at?
you point him out, I'm definitely watching you.
I'll just say, I would like to be able to relieve myself without people watching, but if you need to, you can deal with that on your own. So
I ignore that.
I think you've lost a great many privileges, considering
at
what
that one.
you've done.
As you come back, this is what they're telling you.
yeah, I'll say, Raya, you have such interesting perspectives. And I just kind of walk past and then go and sit. Actually, no, I'm not even sitting. I'm just gonna go around to like the corners. And then kind of like, I'm basically just looking around if there's hieroglyphs or anything. I'm just occupying my brain.
You disgust me. This is the worst thing you've ever done. And I've known you for many, many years. This is the worst thing you've ever done.
Raya,
I never knew you were a murderer.
that is, and I'll turn around, very funny coming from you specifically.
I've never killed a person. I've only killed monsters and animates.
You've never killed a person. Never once killed anybody, just monsters.
Monsters and animates.
Oh, okay. So then, what of the poker game then? And I take 2 steps forward. You were there, and you were there, and I'll point to Frankie, and I seem to remember people dying. That, well, honestly, we never followed up if they were bad or not. And they weren't monsters, they were humans. And further...
I'm gonna sock him in the face.
All right, go ahead and give me a roll because he has no chance of falling back from this.
Can I melee combat free parry?
No, because this is literally coming out of nowhere.
21 to hit Pedro.
So 21 will hit the head.
Not Dr. Wright, Pedro.
Keep this in mind.
Go ahead. In the future, we can do it differently. Hit Pedro, rolled or hit right. So, go ahead and roll me damage. You're adding 5 to the total. I'm assuming you are doing it as stun.
Yeah, I don't want to kill
All right.
him.
Cold
I
plug.
can't remember how punching damage works.
You're going to roll your 2.
And I add my vitality.
You're
Is
going to
that
add your vitality, and you're going to add 5 more.
Okay, 21. I don't want to kill him though.
I think that's a knockout.
So,
no,
for
but I have my
everybody-
vitality, right? I subtract my vitality?
Yes, you do strike that.
So 4.
So, the strike would put him at a 17. Incapacitating is at a 17 at
yeah.
the lowest. He goes out.
I just leave him there.
All right. So everybody watches Frankie punch out of nowhere, clock right in the face, and he falls down. And if anyone notices, you can choose if you do or don't. You will notice that the 2 pairs of Bedouins will each be talking to each other and looking in that direction.
Yeah.
And nobody approaches Wright that I know of.
Wolfe will, because he wants to make sure he's not dead.
Okay.
That's
Yep.
the only thing that
You do the put the fingers in his throat.
there and stuff
All
like
right.
that.
You also feel an elephant gun on my neck.
Oh. How on earth did he surgery?
Your mouth just so shoots you.
My last words: the right loop.
Thank you, Michael.
We could always just throw him in the river.
So
I'm
quick
going
thing
out
for
to
animals,
keep a watch.
It is abnormal for the crocodiles to be this far upstream, this far south. That would be something that you've noticed has happened, but in our real world, historically, they wouldn't be. Hippos are no longer in the Nile. They haven't been in the Nile since the beginning of the 19th century, so there are not hippos that they would be fighting. That is my mistake for allowing that to go forward.
I'm gonna respond to Ray, and I'm gonna say I do want to hunt a crocodile.
That, my friend, is a two-way street. Because there's never just one.
As the day starts to wane on, eventually Wright will come up. Wright, you have a pretty substantial headache.
Yeah.
Frankie.
Very. I'm sitting right outside keeping watch.
Okay, very good.
Give him the barest amount of hyoscine just to deal with a little bit
Okay,
of the
so
pain.
you feel a slight stick, and then it relaxes a little bit.
But that's about it. But otherwise, I'm not.
I'll say, well, Dr. Wolfe, well, thank you. Frankie, you're Catholic, my boy, right?
I'm just
And
not.
I'm gonna start walking away, as I'm talking, and I'll say, I don't remember in the Catholic faith self-righteousness absolving one of their sins. Religion is so fascinating. And then I'll go and sit down somewhere.
I'm gonna respond.
And then I'll stop as soon as I hear a voice.
I'm gonna say I am not attempting to resolve my own sins, but Raya is innocent in this.
Frankie, I was not talking about you, and I'll turn. And I'll say, Frankie, you're different. I don't believe you have the same hang-ups as Raya on that, but Raya
Doctor,
likes to stand on a pedestal.
Doctor, because we have a long history, I will say this once. Do not speak of her again.
Okay then, Frankie. If that's how it shall be.
I'm gonna go back to, sharpening my giant axe now.
Okay, very good. So, time comes for you guys to head down. You guys are heading down towards it, and I've shown you guys pictures to kind of give you an idea of what you're coming towards. Now, those are cleaned up pictures, so consider that in most cases there's going to be sand.
And they're
up
more
and down
covered,
these.
right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's sand built up around a lot of these, but let's kind of talk about the Temple of Karnak itself. It was built over roughly a 2,000-year period. It was built to Amun-Ra, which was the larger deity at the time. Many other smaller temples over time were built there to other deities. In some cases, they were being built by pharaohs who were going to ascend at the end of their tenure of life, at which point they would become gods as well. So, one of the best enclosures that you guys will see has 10 pylons and a great wall enclosure. Inside the wall behind it, you can see many obelisks. The pylons themselves, 6 of them face west towards the Nile, 4 of them face to the south, and Aiden can tell you these things as we move forward. The 4 pylons were set for the processions to move through them. Aiden, go ahead and give me a history roll. You are going to add 2 to this total.
Nice.
20.
Pretty good dice now.
I stand corrected.
All right. So then a couple other things that he will show you as you guys are moving through there. He's kind of going to point here and here.
As we now approach the left bank, if you look to my left,
Tutmosis I built a temple as you guys are coming past it between the 4th and 5th pylons. It's a fairly large temple. As you guys move through it, Aiden is reasonably confident that you guys will not find anything you're looking for here, but does point it out. Hatshepsut and later Tutmosis III, Hatshepsut was the female who reigned as pharaoh. She did not reign as a queen. She actually wore the fake beard to reign as an actual pharaoh. Tutmosis III was so disgusted with her reign, and that might not be the right word, but that's the one I'm using to explain it, that he stripped the majority of her paintings, her reliefs from it, and painted his own over it. This one stands out because it is made mostly of red quartzite.
Ooh.
So it very much stands out. The biggest hall is the Great Hypostyle Hall. It is big enough for you guys. Aiden wouldn't necessarily say it, but just to give you guys an idea for size. It's big enough to fit the entire Notre Dame Cathedral in France inside of it. The entirety. Whoa. It's huge. There are 12 center supports in it. Each of those supports stands approximately 70 feet tall. They are still standing.
Wow.
There are scenes on the outside of the hall of Ramses II and also Seti smiting Libyans, Scythians, and the people of the Levant. Khonshu's temple has columns that stand 23 feet tall, and you guys are getting farther into the complex at this point. And then you, Aiden, just kind of throw this in at the end. The last of the temple additions, as far as any studies have turned up, were from Ptolemy IV during his reign. The ritual catacombs there, and you have not seen them yet. This is something that you would love to do if you had time. The ritual catacombs below are dedicated to Osiris, the god of the underworld. You don't necessarily think yourself that this would be a place that you would find anything that they're looking for, but if you choose to, you could potentially drag them there quietly, not saying anything as to why you're going there. Something that you may have wanted to see for a very long time. What you guys are looking for is Akhenaten's temple. So as you move through, Aiden, you're going to describe the symbols that everyone is looking for. I'm going to have you make a wits perception roll. You are going to add 1 to your roll. Everyone else, and I would expect everyone else to be involved in this, is going to subtract 5 from their roll, and it is not worth spending rerolls for it.
I'm gonna tell everybody, well, I'm not gonna go searching these ruins without a weapon. I can go ahead and let you know that I have no intention of killing any of you as long as you don't try to kill me. But I don't want to be caught by an animate attack without one of those, or without a weapon.
Does anyone immediately respond to him, or does everyone kind of ignore it?
I think that I would pull one of my throwing knives out and hand it to you hilt first, which is about yay big.
So as you're handing it to him, Billings will say, I thought he had his gun back.
No, Billings, they decided not to give that to me, despite what you have said.
Is it not working?
Oh no, it works perfectly fine unless they destroyed it, but they don't trust me, Billings.
Was it destroyed? And he looks very upset.
I'll say, no, it's somewhere, they have it and haven't told me.
And he looks at the group as a whole, because there's no one for him to fixate on. He looks at the group as a whole and he says, Shouldn't he have a weapon? Shouldn't we all be armed?
He's armed now, and I'll kind of wiggle my throwing knife at you.
I'll hold it with 2 fingers and I'll say, well, Billings, I would not call this armed.
Aim for the eyes, and then I'm gonna keep walking.
All right.
And I'll say, all right, well then I will be right here. And I'll just basically be tossing. I have 1 in throwing, so I just toss it in my hand.
Okay.
So I just want to confirm, because I know obviously the flesh is not healing in any form or matter other than weird glistening bits here.
Right.
Am I still at the serious wounds condition? Or
for rolls. No, you are at the next one down.
Oh. So it has healed up. Weird. Okay, so it has gone up to -1. Interesting.
Yes.
So something is happening.
Something is happening. The doctor doesn't know it, but Michael, the player, needs to know it for rolls.
Gotcha.
This is very important. I am not leaving the camels.
Very good.
Does anybody stay? Or am I by myself?
Does anyone stay with you with the camels unless one of the 3 of them does, and only Zosser?
I'll stay with him.
And Ray stays.
Whenever I go into these temples, I end up falling in a hole.
Thank you, Ray.
Okay, so everyone moves out. So everybody else, go ahead and give me your rolls.
-5.
And so what are you gonna do there, Doctor? Because that sounded like you were working towards something. I know you're staying with the camels. Are you doing anything?
Oh, well, no, I can't because Ray's staying with me. If Ray thinks he would stay with me of his own volition, then he would stay.
Yes.
12.
Okay.
I would stay.
So I have a 12. Any other rolls?
I got a 1.
Mine was 16.
See, wait, you got a 1? Oh, because of the minuses.
Yeah, I had 6.
Dr. Wolfe.
Sorry, I'm doing math. Give
No
me a
problem.
sec. It was wits, you said?
Yes.
19.
And then you took the minuses off?
Yeah, I took the minuses off. That's 19.
All right.
In total.
So, Dr. Wolfe and Eden, both of you are walking, and this is over roughly an hour and a half's worth of time. Both of you are walking, and both of you start seeing symbols similar. Now, one of the problems that happens is when we all draw an A, if you think about us writing an A in, I would say, uppercase, most of the people who write an A, it's going to look similar. Sloppy or not, it's going to look very similar. In the case of a lowercase, it's going to look similar. Again, sloppy or not. In the case of cursive, there's a chance A is the bad one because it's such an easy one to draw. But as you look at cursive, people's cursive changes fairly dramatically. The
If they're looking at my book, it's Dr. Scratch.
As far as these symbols that we start finding all over Egypt, they are similar, but they are not as similar as people's cursive. So you'll find things you're like, oh, that might be, and then as you get closer and clean out some of the sand, you're like, no, maybe not. As you guys move through, the two of you end up following a set of symbols to get you around a single temple. There are 4 pylons at the edges of the temple. The sand on the floor stands, you're guessing, maybe 12 or 13 inches from the lowered cement. There is a small depression in the center, roughly a 4 by 4 foot square. And the two of you enter from two sides. It could be west and north. I'm not worried about where. The two of you get to the same place at the same time. That's where you guys are at.
I just realized there is something I'm going to do now. Since Ray is staying with me, so I find a little broken rubble to sit on.
Easily.
I walk about like 6 to 7 feet away to start, and I draw 3 circles, one small, one larger, and one larger. I go back, sit down, and the entire time, Ray, unless you say something to me, I take that knife and I throw it at the circle. I go and pick it up, I bring it back, and I throw it at the circle.
Okay, and you're throwing into sand, but you're basically practicing.
Yeah, I'm basically just,
Very good.
throwing it at the circle.
All right. For the two of you, what are you doing?
I'm probably gonna look around, see if I can find anything relating to that. The rubbing.
So you've seen enough of the things leading that you thought maybe the same thing happened with Dr. Wolfe. So the two of you are on the same idea. So though you don't see anything directly here.
Okay, I'm gonna head over to the 4x4 hole.
Dr. Wolfe, what are you doing as Aiden starts walking towards it? Have you guys acknowledged anything other than seeing each other like, hey, whoa, what's up? Or anything?
Well, I mean, I nod at him, I figure.
Yeah. I'm there's a moment. It's like, so sorry, I'm slightly distracted. So there's the hole in the ground, which seems to be where we.
It's not a hole. There's a 4x4 area, roughly square, where the sand has shrunk down a little bit, maybe a 2-inch-ish depression.
Okay. What are your thoughts on that?
And Aiden, you're walking in as he's saying this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if there's something under here. Maybe the 2 inches seems kind of odd for the sand to be going that way, almost if it's draining into something.
And you have the little bit of blow, that grit. As you start walking towards it, both of you are very aware, and the rest of you guys will get this feeling as well, but you won't have a connection to it. That blowing grit picks up. And for you guys, it picks up as well.
I mean, now that they've spoken about it, can we make out this depression?
No. Only the two of them have approached it.
Oh, okay.
You guys are going in a temple complex. I forget how many square miles in it, but it's ridiculously huge.
Oh, and we split up?
Yes, that was what I understood.
Yep. Gang, let's split up.
Okay.
So tired of these hieroglyphics that say "Eat at Joe's." They're all over the place.
So, do you continue towards the depression?
Yeah. Cautiously.
Of course. Are you doing anything other than walking? I mean, you're checking the environs, but are you simply walking there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna kind of, if I feel anything weird under my feet, I'll probably stop to see what it is or something.
Will you get to the edge of the 4x4 foot?
Okay.
Not stepping over it, but will you get there?
Yeah.
What are you doing, Wolfe? Are you approaching it as well?
I'm following his steps,
So you're going to go around and go following? Because again, you guys are entering from two different corners.
Oh, no, actually, you know what? I'll just walk, because I'm not considering that there might be traps. Never mind. I'm just going to walk straight there.
So you walk there. So as you are getting closer, Aiden, Dr. Wolfe comes to the edge of the depression. Aiden, go ahead and give me a wits perception roll. Dr. Wolfe, you will not get this, but you guys both felt it as soon as you stepped onto the temple area. Both of you guys felt that increase in that spinning grit to the point where both of you have put your masks back up.
Can spend a reroll.
Yeah.
Yeah, of
Spend a
course.
chip. Put a chip, please. One
You
more
can
chip.
use.
Yes, please.
This feels again.
One more chip.
Why do you hate me so much? Okay.
These ones are doing okay by me.
Switch dice.
One more?
Yeah.
One
give it
more
one
time.
That's better. So 19.
19. So he gets to the rim before you do. what are you doing? So when I say the rim, what I'm saying is that area where you are short of crossing the line where it starts to fall in a little bit.
I'm not going to go in because I'm assuming there's going to be like a drop or something.
Gotcha,
like that.
okay.
But I am going to look down.
All right.
at it
Well,
because
you're looking across at it. Think in terms of, for our table here, you're at that edge, and this is what you're looking down into.
Okay,
Again, the
gotcha.
distance is very small.
I'm gonna actually, you know what? There's a curiosity in Wolfe. He's gonna lean down. He's gonna be like looking at the sand. There's
Are you
I don't know.
bent over or kneeling?
kneeling.
Okay. So, and you kneel completely outside of the area, so you're kneeling all back here,
Yeah.
not in. Okay.
Yeah.
And
There's almost this weird. I don't want to like assume anything, but especially after the last few days, and despite the melancholy and stuff like that, there's like that weird sort of thing, like the memory of the sand of being embraced in it and stuff like that. It's not like he's gonna dive into it or anything
Sure.
like that, but there's still this feeling, especially with the grit picking up and stuff, of just like there's something, and he almost can't help himself. He just like puts his hand out like onto like the surface of the sand.
the lower level.
Yeah, the lower level.
Okay. So he reaches out. As he's reaching out, you can feel that grit hit you as a wave. You're also hit with heat. For the rest of you guys, it gets uncomfortably warm. This is out of nowhere. You've gone from it's hot, but it's almost agreeable, to this is the hottest it has been since you guys have been here. He reaches out to it, and you say, "Doctor, wait," and we will end right there.
Okay.
Thank you for listening to another NCRP Productions podcast. To stay on top of everything we're doing, you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and like us on Facebook, all at NCRP Productions. You can show your support and help us continue to produce content by joining our Patreon. We offer additional podcasts like our B-sides and have GM materials, maps, and other fun things you can discover over time. You can find our podcasts on YouTube, Anchor, Spotify, Apple, Google, and many other fine podcast sites. Just look for us at NCRP Productions. We value your thoughts, so please don't hesitate to leave us feedback or comments. And if you would like to contact us directly, you can email us at ncrpproductions@gmail.com.